Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber CISO Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the exam with focused explanations and practical context. Welcome to the Bare Metal Cyber CISO Prepcast. This series helps you prepare for the exam with focused explanations and practical context. The FAIR framework, which stands for Factor Analysis of Information Risk, was developed to help organizations quantify cyber and operational risk in financial terms. Unlike many traditional frameworks that use qualitative scales like low, medium, or high, FAIR focuses on giving executives and stakeholders a way to understand risk in dollars and cents. This makes it especially valuable for budgeting, prioritization, and board-level reporting. It is recognized for its rigor and accepted by both industry and regulatory bodies. FAIR is not a replacement for frameworks like NIST or ISO. It is a complement. While those frameworks are excellent for establishing controls and processes, FAIR adds an economic lens to risk analysis. For CISOs, this means the ability to make security decisions based on measurable business outcomes and to speak to senior leadership in the language of financial risk rather than just technical exposure. The primary objective of FAIR for executives is to translate cybersecurity risk into financial impact. This allows leaders to make better informed decisions about how much to invest in mitigation and where those investments will deliver the most value. When risk can be expressed as a potential dollar loss, cybersecurity becomes easier to prioritize alongside other business risks. Executives can compare options, justify cybersecurity spending with clear economic reasoning, and align budgets to actual business threats. FAIR also helps present risk in a format that stakeholders can understand, especially board members or non-technical leaders. It provides a common language for discussing uncertainty and expected loss. By expressing risks in business terms, FAIR supports better board-level risk reporting. Instead of abstract measures, CISOs can show the estimated financial loss of a breach or the savings created by a new control. It also improves evaluations of return on investment for controls, enabling more precise discussions about what each control achieves in terms of financial risk reduction. Understanding the key concepts and terminology used in FAIR is critical for applying the model effectively. Loss event frequency, or LEF, refers to how likely it is that a threat event will result in a loss. This accounts for how often threats occur and how often they lead to actual incidents. Loss magnitude, or LM, refers to the size of the loss when such an event happens. FAIR separates losses into primary loss, which includes immediate direct costs like downtime or asset loss, and secondary loss, which includes indirect consequences like fines, legal actions, or reputational damage. Threat event frequency estimates how often threats are attempted, while contact frequency measures how often assets are exposed to those threats. Vulnerability in the FAIR model refers to the probability that a contact will result in a loss event. Another important concept is exposure factor, which is the proportion of value lost when an incident occurs. Risk in FAIR is calculated as the product of LEF and MM, meaning frequency times magnitude equals expected loss. The FAIR model follows a structured process for analyzing risk. It begins by defining the risk scenario. This includes identifying the asset at risk, the threat actor involved, and the type of effect being analyzed, such as data loss or service interruption. Next, the analyst estimates the loss event frequency. This can be done using internal data, expert judgment, or external benchmarks. The process then moves to determine the probable loss magnitude, considering both primary and secondary loss factors. These values are based on organizational context, including cost of downtime, legal exposure, and business dependencies. After the estimates are complete, analysts run simulations to create a range of possible outcomes. These simulations, often based on probability distributions, generate risk curves that help visualize the likelihood and size of potential losses. This step-by-step process makes the analysis replicable and transparent, which supports stronger decision-making. Performing a FAIR-based risk analysis starts with gathering relevant data. This data can come from internal sources like incident logs, financial records, and risk assessments, or from industry benchmarks that offer reference values. In many cases, perfect data is not available. When this happens, FAIR allows for calibrated estimation, where expert judgment is structured and documented to support analysis Historical incidents also help guide assumptions about frequency and magnitude. Once data is gathered, analysts use Monte Carlo simulations to run many possible variations of the scenario. These simulations account for uncertainty and produce a full distribution of potential outcomes. Rather than giving a single number, the result is a range, such as there is a 10% chance the loss will exceed $1 million. This approach communicates the variability of risk and provides decision-makers with a more nuanced understanding of exposure. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other podcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Interpreting fair results for executive decision-making is a crucial step. Risk analysts often use loss exceedance curves to show the probability of exceeding a certain financial loss. For example, a chart might show there is a 5% chance of a loss greater than $2 million and a 50% chance of a loss over $500,000. These curves help prioritize which risks require treatment and which may be acceptable. Comparing different risk scenarios in financial terms allows executives to focus on the highest impact threats. FAIR also supports evaluation of controls. Analysts can model how a proposed control would reduce loss magnitude or event frequency and show the change in expected loss. This allows stakeholders to see the value of specific security investments. It is important to communicate these findings with clarity. Executives need to understand not only the numbers but also the uncertainty around them. By explaining percentile ranges and assumptions, CISOs can provide transparent, credible advice. FAIR is also a powerful tool for evaluating controls and justifying investments. Before implementing a control, an analyst can model the current risk scenario and then run a second analysis with the control in place. Comparing the two provides a measure of risk reduction. This enables leaders to evaluate whether a control is cost-effective. For example, a control that reduces expected loss by $100,000 but costs $1 million to implement may not be justified. On the other hand, if it reduces loss by $5 million for a $200,000 investment, the case is much stronger. FAIR supports decisions about where to allocate limited resources and how to prioritize competing projects. It also helps communicate trade-offs between accepting residual risk and spending to reduce it. At a strategic level, FAIR can be used to evaluate control portfolios across multiple systems, helping align investments with enterprise-level priorities. While FAIR offers many advantages, it also comes with limitations and challenges. One of the biggest constraints is data quality. Without reliable data, even the best models can produce misleading results. Organizations may struggle to find accurate numbers for historical losses, incident frequencies, or control effectiveness. Another challenge is cultural. Some teams may resist using probabilistic models or financial analysis in cybersecurity. They may prefer qualitative assessments or be uncomfortable with statistical tools. There may also be a skill gap. Not all stakeholders are comfortable interpreting distributions, percentiles, or simulations. Overconfidence in estimates can also become a problem. It is important to remember that FAIR provides a range of possibilities, not a guarantee. Finally, FAIR must be used within a consistent process and governance framework. Without structured oversight, results may vary too widely or be misunderstood. Proper training, repeatable methods, and executive sponsorship are essential for successful FAIR adoption. FAIR is most valuable when integrated into broader enterprise risk management programs. It can be mapped to ERM dashboards, helping executives compare cyber risk with other forms of operational or financial risk. This enables risk-based decision-making across departments. FAIR results can also support compliance and audit reporting. By showing how controls reduce financial risk, organizations can justify control selection and demonstrate thoughtful compliance. Integration with GRC platforms and risk registers allows FAIR data to be shared across governance teams. This helps break down silos and ensures that finance, legal, audit, and security teams are working from a common understanding of risk. When used this way, FAIR becomes more than just a risk model. It becomes a foundation for strategic cyber risk governance. It aligns analysis with organizational goals and supports the kind of executive conversations that influence funding, policy, and leadership attention. On the CISO exam, candidates should be prepared to recognize and apply the FAIR model in scenario-based questions. This includes understanding the core components of FAIR, such as loss event frequency, loss magnitude, and the calculation of risk as the product of those two values. Candidates may be asked to choose the best investment based on a comparison of risk reduction, or to identify the risk with the highest financial impact. Understanding how FAIR results support executive decision-making is essential. The exam also tests a candidate's ability to compare frameworks. Knowing how FAIR differs from or complements frameworks like NIST or ISO is an important part of demonstrating executive-level knowledge. For example, a scenario might involve both a qualitative risk matrix and a FAIR analysis. The candidate will need to choose which method provides stronger decision support, depending on the context. Mastery of FAIR positions the candidate to lead with confidence in data-driven, financially informed cybersecurity strategy. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the Bare Metal Cyber CISO Prepcast. For more episodes, tools, and study support, visit us at baremetalcyber.com.